start will be by our good friend and good colleague who knows so much about the situation and has a long time experience, which is Dr. Irina Francken. Her professional experience includes private client services and philanthropy. And I know her from her important participation in the STEP philanthropy group. Dr. Irina is also qualified as trust and estate practitioner and has been working as a trustee, corporate service provider in the Netherlands, New Zealand, and Singapore since 1998. She provides advice on asset protection structures using trusts, companies, and foundations. She works to ensure a smooth transition of wealth from one generation to the next. And Dr. Francken helps clients in relocation to another country by structuring their assets accordingly. Well, without any further delay, I'm handing now over to Dr. Irina Francken, who has an extensive and impressive experience in all these matters. Please, Irina.
Thank you, Urs, for such a lovely introduction. My name is Irina, and I'm the owner and director of Fiduciary Services Group. I'm speaking with you from Singapore. It's 9 o'clock in the evening here, 30 degrees, around 30 degrees outside. We are in rainy season at the moment. Few words about virus. We're wearing masks for 4 months already. We're probably one of the first countries in the world who have to wear masks when we go out of our homes. And we are still on our circuit breaker. That is something the same as like lockdown, but sounds much better, much more presentable, much more relaxing. And we shall continue to stay on this circuit breaker. Sounds good, eh? Till 1st of June. We really don't have a big problem in Singapore, but we just have to comply with the rules, stay at home and work from home. I'm not working from the office, I'm working from my home, which is normal for me because as a consultant, I work from home quite often. Now I will go through my presentation, and it would be so nice actually really to make that full screen. Can somebody help me to do that full screen?
Well, if you go with your mouse to the bottom, yeah. To the bottom, and then towards to your right. No, not with the screen. Your bottom to the right hand corner at the bottom. No, to the right, to the. Okay.
No, see, now.
Yeah, now that's it. Good.
Now it's it. Yeah, okay, excellent. Okay. In Fiduciary Services Group, our company is actually quite old. In every jurisdiction, we created companies under the same name, in Fiduciary Services. The group has been established in 1989, and assets under our structures are excess of more than 2 billion euro. Please note that we actually don't manage the assets. We provide structures, and that is our business. We use 3 jurisdictions, and all these 3 jurisdictions I know from inside out because I lived in every of these countries. In the Netherlands, we use foundations for asset protection structures. In New Zealand, mainly New Zealand Foreign Trust and private trustee companies. Sometimes people ask us to use partnerships, and not very often, but we do use partnerships just in combination with other tools and vehicles to create quite a solid and quite a good protective structure. In Singapore, I don't have trust license with a purpose because far too much work for me to do. I'm working as a consultant and I'm using services of the third parties. Today in my presentation, I will refer to one of my business partners. But yes, I'm registered in Singapore as a registered filing agent and as a corporate service provider and also as a qualified professional. Very quick definition about asset protection structures. What it is, what is asset protection? The asset protection is the concept of management of somebody's wealth. And there is part of international tax planning, it's a part of financial planning. One important thing to remember, particularly in this situation of uncertainty where we are now, we normally don't realize the need of asset protection until it's too late. Here you have to remember that if you create asset protection structure today, it does not mean that the structure actually will start to protect from certain claims tomorrow. It really takes time before the structure really will start to work for you. When clients come to us, what they actually really ask, they really want to achieve, to protect their assets against various claims, and claims are normally creditors, family members, government, whatever. Everybody, and that's absolutely true, want to minimize their tax, and we are doing that by maximizing the earnings and growth. Flexibility of the structure is one very important issue, and our clients normally want to use the income from their assets anytime they want to do that. Succession planning becomes more and more important, and asset protection structure which we create for our client has to be really quite an easy streamline of transfer of the assets from one generation to another. I really want to make a point that today I'm not talking about tax. I'm not talking about complicated legal issues. What I really want to share with you, I want to share does not work at all for asset protection structures. I will give you a very simple example, because that example really will remind you that when you start to think and start to create asset protection structure for yourself, for your businesses, or for your family. If I go to the shop and I buy one size dress for myself, that will fit me. One young, slim girl, long legs, will go to the shop and she will buy exactly the same dress because it's one size dress. That will fit her too. Now, a pregnant woman who becomes bigger and bigger every week, she goes to the shop, she buys the same one size dress, and that also fits her. The question is, all these three dresses, do they actually really fit us well? That's what you have to think. You have to think how the structure, which has been created for you, is relevant to your particular situation, for your particular needs. Remember keywords: privacy. Normally, asset protection structure provides you the privacy. You always can work with your advisors and have full control or quite a good control of your assets, but your structure has to be relevant for your situation. And asset protection structure must be impactful. Don't pay money for nothing just to have a structure. It really should work for you. And of course, my main message, don't be late. The current COVID-19 crisis is a great reminder. Take steps now to protect your assets, because you really have uncertain situation. It's only started, we're only a few months in this particularly terrible time. We don't know what will be tomorrow. It just can go as a snowball. Look at news in America today. Look at news in China today, in South Korea today. Virus starts to come back in Asian countries. That's really an alarming situation. We can't control it. That's why I suggest to think about your assets, about your wealth, about something which really can ground you and which you can control. Normally, I talk to my clients, I said, okay, look, let's just sit down, let's talk, let's really think, what do you have now? What do you have in the past? Did you have in the past? What do you have now? In the past, a lot of people actually have direct connection to their assets. They own their assets by themselves. Assets are on their names. But in situation like we have now, or I refer very often to situation of financial crisis 2008, there is really something which never would protect you. The modern solution is pretty simple, and the golden rule is place assets in a structure that is independent from yourself. Here's just a lot of questions from clients, how actually I can put and give another name, and the main question, but how I can control. How I actually can control what I give to you. I don't give it to my wife, and you think I will give to you? Yeah, that is questions which we have all the time. But I always say to people, if you control what you have, why bother to own it? You already control everything what you have. And the main and the first step what you have to do is to put outside the legal ownership of your name. And we try to manage the difference between ownership and control. Sometimes we speak with people days and weeks, sometimes months. It really depends from the clients. And in the end of our discussions, normally people understand that control actually gives them quite a strong and good feeling. Legal forms of control, what we normally use, 3 types of structures you really can use to achieve the best asset protection. I will talk today about trusts, I will talk about foundations and family office funds. Trust structure in this picture probably is very familiar to you, and you know what actually trust structure includes. It's really 3 players normally: settler, trustee, beneficiaries, and all of them are under a trust deed. Everything is written in trust deed, what fiduciary duties of trustee, what the rights of beneficiaries to the assets which trustee holds for benefit of beneficiaries, and so on. Simple, but very complicated actually to feel the structure, to understand all complexity which goes through these relations. We use normally New Zealand Foreign Trust. New Zealand Foreign Trust just really give you quite an easy way to settle and to organize. And trustee, normally for trustee, we use private trustee companies. New Zealand, if you know, maybe, if you don't know, I will remind you, is one of the best jurisdiction to have easy business. Singapore and New Zealand are normally shared, plus Hong Kong sometimes, they're easy to do business, normally on the top of the list. And I really can tell you, I just will give you example. New Zealand went to lockdown 26th of March. 27th of March, we received a mail from the government. Please apply for the government support. And it was application, the link to application. We look at the application, it was very short, just less than 1 page. And that support to pay salaries to employees of our company, including part-time employees. But the application requires us to have sub-account. We ran to the bank and we said, look, we really need sub-account, what we can do. Physically, 2 clicks, we clicked, we had our sub-account straight away after 2 clicks, and the name of the account already has been prepared for us. My Money for Business. 26, lockdown started. 27, 3 o'clock afternoon, we submitted application. It was Friday. Saturday, I received email and funds on our account. For 12 months of all my employees, including part full-time employees. That's New Zealand. That's a government which thinks about people. Yeah, that's quite important to think. If you really have some structure in that particular jurisdiction, it's actually quite secured. But next week, I actually had a mail even from the landlord, and he said, look, you know, I can give you 50% discount for the rent for April, because I have received subsidies from the government. Just amazing. Anyway, but we're talking about private trustee companies, which you can create very quickly. But creating a company does not mean you already can do the business. Yeah, it's a lot of issues which you have to consider normally creating by private trustee company, and I will speak about that. At the moment, I just really want to tell you what private trustee company actually can give to you. First of all, what you really need is control. The settler may retain the power to appoint and remove directors of PTC. What does it mean? It means that he can put actually on directors, he can appoint people whom he knows, people who knows his business, people who knows his family, and they can make discretion decision about investments, about distributions to beneficiaries. Who controls it? The board of directors. The board of directors of people whom the settler knows quite well. Succession planning with PTC company is actually also quite a straightforward process. You engage young family members in the process of decision making, and after that, slowly just doing business, they actually grow up to the level that later they really can manage family wealth. Perfect structure. And of course, very important, continuity. The administrator like me or people who work in my New Zealand office, we can change. We come, we go. But PTC, the company which acts as trustee of the trust, will remain as the trustee of the trust. This is a simple structure. Don't really bother to make photo, because these structures you really can Google and have plenty of them on internet. I just took that just as example to show to you very simple structure. Normally for our clients, our structures are much, much more complicated, but the basic is in red. Trustee, which normally PTC company, trust, holding companies, and a lot of assets under. We normally divide and we normally separate investment companies, operational companies, and companies which hold real estate in various jurisdictions. It's very important really to keep that separate. And here I really would like to give you recommendations. It's very important to remember that PTC, which you created, which will act as trustee for your trust, is actually separate entity itself. It's a corporate entity itself, and it's actually really need to comply with all regulations, with reporting standards. Everything has to be done and has to be run as for corporate entities. That is from one side. Yeah. Now we come to the next stage. Remember that structure. When it's really trustee company is actually holds the assets, holds the shares in underlying companies. Oh, sorry, another way. Yeah, PTC is a shareholder of underlying businesses. Here you always have to remember about the risks. If something happens in underlying companies, that will affect the trust where the assets are. That is an important point to remember, that shareholder of underlying company is your PTC company. And PTC company is trustee by itself for the trust. We really found that normally the board of directors appointed by the settler are quite good to run the company and really to manage all situations for underlying businesses. But when it comes to the trust, a lot of questions, a lot of issues. And very often directors of the company, they don't read the trust deed. They have no idea what it is, and they don't really know what trust is actually about. That's why every time when you think about PPC, which has certain advantages, which I already explained to you, control comes first. Remember the complex role of PTC. Setting up PTC always asks two questions. One question, should I really create private trustee company, or should I actually use licensed trustee company, which will cost you a little bit more, but maybe less headache, but less control? Or would be my family members, would they be able to manage all these corporate issues, issues of underlying businesses and trusts? Now I come to Dutch foundations, that is next entity which we use, next jurisdiction which we use, Dutch foundation stichtings. It's ideal holding vehicle. It's a very old legislations, and it's really it's actually, you know, it has legal personality, and it really can work as a good vehicle to protect the assets for individuals and also for business. Stichting can operate as a passive holding entity, as a charitable foundation, as a property holding vehicle, various situations. How we normally use it? We normally use it in this simple structure which I describe here in this drawing. The funds are held by the stichting. They actually belong to pension fund. The role of the stichting, the purpose of the stichting is to manage the pension funds. Important to know and to remember that stichting can't be created with a purpose to pay money to somebody else. Yeah? Members of the stichting have no rights to be considered to have some funds. Yeah? Stichting manage the funds, and pension fund actually has contractual arrangement with members, and members, if they consider, they can receive some payments. As you can see, everything which is here from the right hand side, it is outside of control what is actually stichting is about. You can't see that on the register, but I don't really want to discuss in this situation today, but Netherlands actually will introduce registration of ultimate beneficial owners. It probably it's delays and delays, but because EU Fifth Anti-Money Laundering Directive really requires Dutch jurisdiction to do that, it maybe will be done in the end of 2020, but it's still not certain when it will take place. Be aware about that. Till now, it's a absolutely perfect vehicle. Family office funds. I just will go through the benefits. Now I also have to say, when I talk about these three different ways to protect your assets, probably I have to mention a little bit the fees. Trust is a little bit cheaper when foundation, and family office funds a little bit more expensive when foundation. But family office funds provide a lot of things which normally our clients really want to achieve. These particular services I provide with company Abacus Capital. It's in Singapore, because I mentioned to you, in Singapore, I work with the third parties as consultant. And I particularly like these structures because family office funds, they provide you privacy. Shareholder names and financial statements are not disclosed on a public register. Important. Assets not held in own name. Very important point. For asset protection structure, all assets held in the regulated holding company structure. And assets are held within a dedicated private fund. Tax, yes, certainly you can minimize taxable income, capital gain, and inheritance tax. Simplification, I really like that, because you really can consolidate all family wealth under one structure. Sometimes it's very important, because when you really have a big structure, it is very difficult to manage, even for us, for trustees and for corporate service providers. Too many things to remember. Here is just one thing. And flexibility. It's very flexible structure in the sense that family has discretion to select investment strategy. But here probably you see similarity with private trustee company. And it's also ease of subscription and redemption of fund units. It's also flexible to allocate funds units to different family members. As I already mentioned, that Abacus Capital, and they work about asset management, but also manage to structure family businesses. Family office funds are private fund structures, and this structure is normally established to manage the ownership and shareholdings of family wealth. Common use of private fund structures: long-term ownership of assets, restructuring ownership before private company has to be sold, restructuring ownership before IPO, injection of new equity capital into company, and debt investment, and so on. There is, three types of different structures I described to you. As I mentioned, I did not go into discussion of complications. I only put the point which is important for you to remember. You can keep control. You also create structure which provides you privacy. And if you work together with your advisors, you also can make the structure relevant to your needs. On this point, I will finish my presentation. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, you have Q&A, you can ask me, and you also can contact me by mail. You can contact me by Skype. You can contact me by all various things, modern communications. Thank you again, and enjoy the next presentations.